Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, welcome back. It is I, the Groovinator, aka Adam Wilcox, owner and operator of Raiders Lost Flicks. Remember, if it's a bad movie, we want to know about it. And there used to be a time where I used to review movies on my channel. Of course, I'm here with my co-host Professor Flair X himself. How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. How about you, man?
Trying not to die from the holidays, man. I'm sure you can relate. What is it about December when you need money for gifts? Everything that you own breaks, and everything costs twice as much as it usually does.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. I just figured out that my truck needs some work.
Yeah, I
The
just dumped
oil,
about half a thousand into my fucking car too, so and it's still got
yeah,
problems.
I because it's a safety issue. I have to get it taken care of. It's like, are you serious with me here? Because it really is. It's my headlight. I can't seem to get it.
I
Either the
got
wiring.
tires. I got a broken window. I don't even want to talk about it. So tonight's topic has been a hot button since last week. If you've been under a cave or you haven't been following up or you're not keen on current events, what's happening? As you know, there hasn't been any movies that have come out hardly at all this year. Most of the big budget releases, like Wonder Woman 1984 and Black Widow, all those keep getting pushed back. No Time to Die, the last James Bond movie. I should say the last Daniel Craig movie, but I have a feeling it's going to be the last James Bond movie, the way things are going. But all those things have been pushed back, and definitely it's been a rough year for anybody in the entertainment industry. It has definitely been starving itself out, and it's not really can't really be helped because there are a lot of states that have restrictions on theaters. There's only allowed to be, because of social distancing, so many people allowed to be in a theater at the same time. So even big major releases like Tenet, which was supposed to save the cinema of 2020, wasn't really able to do that because, for one, a lot of people really aren't going out still. Okay, two, if they were going out, they probably weren't going to go out for Tenet. Let's just be honest. Maybe if it was a high profile Marvel movie or something, maybe, Tenet wasn't really it. And even if you can go out, most movie theaters only allow like maybe, what is it, 20 some people in a theater or something like that. Richard Greeter in the chat with us. Hello, Richard Greeter. Glad to have you back with us. Before I get into anything that we say tonight, it's important that I mention this, okay? Look at me, all right? I'm going to give myself a signal so I make sure you know this clear. I don't want movie theaters to close. I don't. I don't want movie theaters to close, all right? Two, I have no love for Warner Brothers, especially Warner Brothers, because I have had so much of my content copyright claimed by Warner Brothers that I literally can't even do trailer reactions anymore. And I don't have any love for HBO Max either. And third and final, but not the most important, is the things that I'm saying tonight are opinions. I'm not saying anything is fact, I'm not saying anybody is right, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong. So, that being said, now that I got that out of the way, let's get into the big debate, okay? Warner Brothers Studios made the announcement they're going to release all of the 2021 content, which consists of a lot of the movies that didn't make it to 2020. They're going to simultaneously release that stuff in theaters and on HBO Max. Now, the first one that was going to happen was going to be Wonder Woman 1984. That was going to happen on Christmas Day, and Warner Brothers was like, Merry Christmas, have a movie. Watch it. Watch this movie that you've not been able to see all year long. So everybody was kind of cool like that. And then it seemed like not even a week after that announcement, oh, by the way, we're going to just take the whole catalog and put that on HBO Max as well. And all weekend long, I've been watching people argue about this over and over and over and over again. And the it seems to be the consensus is that people are saying that Warner Brothers and HBO have put the final nail in the coffin onto movie theaters. And I have mixed feelings about that, but before I get into that, I want to let Flair get a word in here because I've been rambling for the last 5 minutes. How do you feel about all of this?
You know, I kind of see it on on a balance scale. That there has been so much working against the movie theater industry and Hollywood, because you and I are, everybody is a consumer of something from Hollywood, you know, be it, TV, be it movies, be it whatever, and we're very harsh critics. You and I both, we state our opinions loud and proud. But do I think that it's the final nail in the coffin? No,
It's
I
hard to
think
say if it's going to be the final nail in the coffin. You would have to see. I mean, there are theaters that are closed right now. I mean, in some states,
my
they
fear
they
is,
opened back up and then closed back down again.
yeah, well, that's what happened in my state. Was the theaters opened up and people flooded in because 30 miles to the west of me is a large town, and they were locked down, and it was a people were coming over to Idaho to break out of the strict restrictions that were in Washington. And I mean, the theaters were doing, restaurants, theaters, everything was doing big business over here because of the lockdown, the very strict lockdown over in Washington. You know, it's I just see it as very nuanced that this is another nail, but I don't think it's the final nail, because there's going to be people like me, like you, like our friends that we will go to theaters and see stuff. Are we completely 100% certain? See, I think the uncertainty right now is what's killing us.
Yeah,
Is,
a lot of
is
people, it just, especially in the United States, let's face it, we're selfish people. Okay, we're selfish people. We're spoiled people, and we're not used to having things. We're not used to being told that you can't do the normal things that you normally do in your day to day life.
you
Because
can unwatch it. Welcome to the stream, man. Good to
you
see you.
cannot watch it. Glad that you could join us. I wanted to show you this chart right here because the other thing, even before I start talking about the chart, is we live in the information age, Flair, where it seems
Oh,
like we used to have that term yesterday's news. And I want to send a shout out to Chris Stuckman. I'm a fan of his channel. Obviously, I like movies, and if you like watching movies and you like movie critics, you probably watch Chris Stuckman or you watch Jeremy Johns. I watch them both. Okay. Chris Stuckman had an interesting weigh in on this as well, and he says that we used to use that term called yesterday's news. Okay, well, that's yesterday's news. And now the news comes at us so fast on the information superhighway that it's like it's last minute's news. And it seems like news in general gets buried so quickly that we quickly forget that not even last year people were just shitting all over the box office and movies and theaters and everything else. And I know because I review movies for a living. Well, I used to review movies for a living until I couldn't go see the movies anymore. Everything halted. And I will be the first to admit, I know I'm not the only one. Somebody always has it worse than me, but I miss my routine. I used to go to the gym. I used to work out. I'd put out a video. Then I'd go hit the movies on Thursday night, see as many as I could. Come home immediately, start recording the reviews for those. Get them uploaded so that they were released by Friday morning so that I could capitalize on people wanting to see the review to see if it's something that was worth them going to go see or not. And I admired doing that. I didn't mind seeing a bad movie because I like watching bad movies. I'm sick like that. I don't mind having a movie pass and saying, well, I saw Black Christmas 2019, and I'm here to tell you that you probably could wait for that one. You could catch that on a streaming service or maybe a rental if you're so inclined to do so. But I also remember that when I was in those theaters, that they were mostly empty, with the exception of like something like Endgame or Bad Boys 3 or even Ford v Ferrari. That one had a pretty good turnout. I didn't see a lot of butts in seats, even on the movies that got high review scores on Rotten Tomatoes or critics. And I have the data right in front of me. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit, because this is kind of hard to read from where I'm sitting. I can't imagine that.
Well, and I'll say this to you can't unwatch it. I think the experience is going to remain, and I agree with you that it's not going to be the way we had it. But it's also the I think for the theaters, it's the unknown as well.
Well, that's just it, because even theaters, Okay, so let's get to our point first, and then we'll address these topics. So this is from 2000 to 2018, okay, and as you can see, this is a fucking ski slope right here, okay, just the decline in general of people going to theaters. And now, okay, so a lot of people say, well, it's the streaming, okay, it's Netflix. Maybe around here, I think Netflix might have been taken over, but right around here, 2008, 2010, people weren't really streaming Netflix. They might have been doing where you get the DVD in the mail and then you borrow it for a while and you send it back in an envelope. I remember doing that.
To me, we were discussing this before the stream, the ascendance of cable television.
Yeah.
That people, it's net, cable television, whether through whatever form you take it. I have satellite. You're getting HD quality channels. You're getting, access to HBO. You're getting access to these, movie showing channels that a lot, before. I know my dad, back in the, when HBO first came out, we would only get it on cable when it was the free, week.
Don't you remember too? Maybe not so where you're at, but there was a time I remember when I lived in Illinois near Chicago where you could get a cable deal, and for a flat rate, you would get you could pick a couple of channels and have like a package. It was like a package, have this many channels. I remember they were advertising stuff like that, and for the longest time, we had a setup like that where we had, I think, HBO or Cinemax or Showtime, and I think at one point we had all of them, And nowadays, if you're still doing cable, which I don't know a lot of people that do anymore. I mean, we were quick to dump cable a couple of years ago when it was just Netflix and maybe Hulu. Now every major network wants to have a streaming service.
I'm evil. I have satellite.
I had satellite for a while too. There was a time where I didn't have cable. Wasn't a choice because I lived in a condo that just didn't have the hookup for it. It was a complicated story.
I consider satellite and cable.
They're the same.
Simpatico.
Yeah. Right. They compete against each other for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I only got into streaming about 3 years ago, when I first moved up here, and I had a better internet connection than I did a visual connection, because during the winter, snow blocks satellite real well. I came to find out, shocking statement there.
But the reason I'm showing this pie chart right here is how soon we forget that.
You mean graph?
Nothing on this chart right here has anything to do with COVID-19. Nothing. Nope. Okay, nothing. Doesn't have anything to do with Warner Brothers. Doesn't have anything to do with HBO Max. This is just cinema in general has been on a steady decline for the past 20 years. And I've seen it in action, okay? And my point is, and this is going to be my opinion, okay? It is of my opinion that people want things when they can't have them. That's what we're going through right now. We're going through a state where we're constantly being told, you can't have this, you can't do that. And the more you're told you can't do that, the more you want to do it. I used to have a philosophy when I was at GameStop, and I used to manage a GameStop. If I wanted to sell something, I would tell my customers, well, you can't have this. It's not for sale. And they'll pay anything for it if you tell them they can't have that. You know what I mean? It's like you can't. Yes, Leo, I did say COVID-19 on live. I think that YouTube finally got over that that their hypersensitivity to that word. If they didn't, then they'll take my stream down. I don't really care.
Well, yeah, if we crash and burn,
then you'll know. Yeah, then you'll know I wasn't like. I will address some of the comments here before we move on to the next point here. So we got you cannot watch this. The cinematic experience will remain, but probably not the way we used to have it. And I do want to make sure that I want everybody to know that, yes, the cinematic experience is by far the definitive way to watch a movie. There's something about the smell of the popcorn, going into the movie theater and watching it on a big giant screen with the sounds. A lot of those things can be recreated if you can afford it. Most people can't afford that size of a screen. But you have to also remember, when you're going to the Magic Theater experience, you have to share that with other people. Other people that most likely will not respect your right to watch the movie in silence. Don't think that anybody else is in the theater. Treat it as if it's their home. Make noise, smacking their food, talking during the trailers. I remember seeing War of the Planet of the Apes, and I swear to God, there was a family behind me that were still talking 10 minutes into that movie. And I had to turn around and tell them to be quiet. And I don't think I should have to do that. I think that should be the usher's job to make sure people are quiet in a theater, but some theaters just don't enforce that. Let's be honest. They want butts in seats. They're not going to tell people they can't do anything. Especially now. They're going to let people do whatever they want. So that is that part of that sacred experience of going to see the movie theater. Unless you're rich enough to afford the whole theater to yourself, or you're a dumbass like me that went and saw Playmobil the movie on opening day and was literally the only idiot in the theater watching that movie. Playmobil the movie, this is where I disagree with Chris Duckman. According to him, he says that there's something memorable about when you see a movie in a theater as opposed to something you watch on TV. I didn't get anything from watching Playmobil the movie in a theater. It was still a bad movie that I just watched in a really nice setting. You know what I mean? It's like putting, white wall tires on a dumpy old car. You know what I mean? It's kind of pointless, okay?
I'll say this, that I literally watch movies over again sometimes at home that I saw at the theaters, and I don't remember watching it. It's like, wait, I watched this? And that's I don't know if that's just me, the problems I have, but
that's just it. I remember this conversation coming up a couple years ago, and I remember there were online polls, and I'm going to get to your comment in just a second, Richard, that people preferred to stream to go into the movie theaters, and that comes when it says, well, I will say this WB really dropped a bombshell on Disney because they were probably going to put Black Widow and other movies on Disney Plus with a $30 extra charge, and WB ruined that. Well, Mulan wasn't exactly it, and I don't think that you should have to pay $30 plus an entrance fee to watch a movie. I think that's absolutely barbaric, and that's one thing where WB is allowing you to see these movies with no extra fees attached to it. We're going to get into this in a minute, okay? In my opinion, it is a temporary solution to a really bad problem that started years before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
You cannot watch this. Says it's a mixture of shitty Hollywood product, rinse of streaming, rise of streaming, cable TV, digital downloads, pirating, and various stuff. Piracy has been in play since I was a child. People have been pirating movies. They've been pirating movies for my entire life. And piracy will continue. It's not something that's ever going to go away. It's not something that just started because streaming became a thing. Is it more rampant now? Well, sure, because now you're in the streaming war where you're having to pay a premium price for every single movie company there is. You know, it's like, oh, you want to watch this movie? Well, you have to have a subscription to that channel. You want to watch a movie? You have a subscription to that channel. Nobody has saved a dime by moving off of cable and going to streaming. In fact, everybody's getting ripped off in this deal. As I said that they would several years ago. I mentioned this. If you go through my old videos, I know you watched a couple of these, Flair, where I was constantly saying, I'm like, is this the way you want to go? And see, now that we're going this way, everybody's like, oh no, movie theaters. Oh no. I'm like, yeah, I said this was going to happen.
Well,
what did you expect? You know,
and if you remember my comments from back then, that literally, you know, I was a fence sitter because, you know, at that point in time, I worked 2 jobs. I had a day job and I had a night job, and I didn't really have the time unless I made a concerted effort to, you know, build that time up to go see a movie at a theater. Plus, I moved up here where it was, even during the midday matinees were $8 or $10 a pop, and it because the theater that I had when I lived in California was, they did a midday matinee for $5, flat rate, $5. You get in. They were making the money off the concessions.
Mm-hmm.
They also sold Pepsi, so you know me, I'm a Pepsi-holic.
All I wanted was a Pepsi. I just wanted a Pepsi. No, Leo Red says, I don't know, these days the way TV prices and sound systems are, you can pretty much afford it tax season. You don't even need a sound system. You know what I used to watch? Right here. All you need is a good pair of earphones, which you can get for about maybe $89 to $150. You can get yourself a decent headset with 50 millimeter drivers, and you want to buy yourself a $15 license to Dolby Atmos, and that's all you need. It'll sound just as good if you have a headset that will output. Well, and some of these streaming devices have a jack right on top of the remote where you can plug a headphone in and listen to it that way. So you don't really even need the sound system.
Well, I can remember when I was a kid, my father and I did construction, and we built a theater in his house, and I did all the wiring for it. I did all that stuff. But the quality that he got back then, I have a sound bar that I purchased from Amazon for around $160, that makes that sound equal, or if not better, than it was in his $10,000, you know, theater room that he had. You know, he put in sound coatings and all this different stuff. And I really agree with Leo that we have such quality of sound options in today's day and age that the theater experience, I mean, okay, I'm going to say this. I worked for a while as a installer of, you know, the surround sound systems in, we put them in digital. We updated theaters to digital surround sound, and literally, people were buying the same thing in a smaller size, you know, for their homes. Hell, my mom, her 65-inch TV has the same sound bar that I do, and she rattles my wall with it. And she doesn't mean to, but that's the quality of the sound that comes out of it. So, to me, the argument
But
that
the other thing with that too, and this is one of my. By the way, Leo, I will find you. He says since I was a child back, you're right. It was actually the 1800s. Thank you very much. No, but my problem with the theaters is I'm in a theater and I see things in multiple theaters, but I mostly go to the one where I have the movie pass. Sometimes I'll be in a theater and it's too damn loud and I can't turn it down, or it's not loud enough and I can't hear the voices. You know, it sounds like a boomer saying something like that, but it is an issue. My idea a while back was, make it to where you can bring your own headset in and hook up to something via Bluetooth and listen to the sound the way you want it. You know what I mean? There's awesome headsets being sold all the time. Why can't they do something like that? But they don't. The theater itself has been living on an outdated model for a long time, and that's another point I want to bring up is I don't want to see anybody that works in a movie theater lose their job, get closed down, be laid off, or anything like that because of what's going on, or because of what's going on with HBO Max or Warner Brothers. But the other thing, too, is this happened to Blockbuster. This happened to Family Video. All those people lost their jobs. All those places closed down. All of the Family Videos that were left in Illinois closed down as well. They've all been turned into dollar stores or thrift stores. They're no longer in existence. I mean, this is probably something that this theater problem was in play before the pandemic. I do think the pandemic accelerated it quite a bit. But we're going to get into that in a moment here. I just want to get through some of these comments. It seems that Japan will keep the movie-going experience given how well Demon Slayer is doing, at least for a little while. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because we had brought that up a few streams back. Flair X is a big anime fan. Okay, he's very proud of it. That is something that is very popular in the West now as too, and something that could be made for probably less than 160 million that they're throwing at these movies now. You get some good animators, you get some good voice actors. Pretty sure the actors are not doing anything right now. I imagine that they would be willing to lend their voice to an animated feature if it was a good story. You know what I mean? You know how starved we are for good stories anymore? So that is a very good point. I absolutely agree with you, sir. But I want to bring up... I have so many articles to share. I'm just going to start getting into it. But yeah, just last year, and I'm not going to go any farther than last year, but just last year alone, my God, pull this up here. Sure, take all day to load. I don't care. All right, so
you can't unwatch it. I think anime and manga are going to do that on their own because they see what Hollywood is doing to themselves. And Japan will have nothing to do with it. In fact, there are Japanese creators that are leaving Twitter. So, I mean, you want to keep it pure. I think they're going to do that because it is part of their society and their culture over there, and I respect that immensely. You know, that they have the balls to tell Hollywood to go take a flying leap, and but I think they've also built a community here in the United States. I watch your reviews of anime, and I think they have really. It could even go back to the days when it was directly released from Japan to here. They could pull a lot of stuff in house again and make it keep it in their own. Because I've been watching what Rekieta Law is talking about with the unhappiness of Japan with Funimation. There's a lot that's going on that they want to meet the desires of the Western market, but still keep to their own roots. And I sure hope they do because I
yeah,
am.
those movies shouldn't have to be subjected to the same BS standards that the movies that we're trying to watch are. How many of these movies have been sanitized, and half of them are trying to indoctrinate you with some kind of philosophy that you don't agree with? But anyways, I don't want to get on that tangent because I've done
Oh
that
yeah,
to death, and then some.
we go off on that.
We could do a whole stream on that. But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you want people to go back to theaters, all right, never mind the pandemic, you have to make better movies. That is why the theaters are failing. It is not because of a streaming issue. It is not because of Warner Brothers, who I told you I don't give a crap about because they've copyright claimed so much of my content. I can't stand them either. It's not all their fault. Everybody acts like, oh, well, Warner Brothers just ended movies. These are the movies that they ended for you, okay? This crappy knockoff movie right here, this knockoff Lego movie that literally nobody went to see, okay? I sat in a theater and watched this and did a review for you on my channel. I was the only guy in the theater on the first showing of opening day. The only guy in the theater, okay? That's the kind of stuff that you're talking about saving here. You know, it has to get better than this. Replicas, did anybody see this? Everybody loves...
So I'm gonna shout out to
no, go right ahead.
Watch it for a second. Okay, man. I have finally got all of Fairy Tale. So
he is a collector.
If you don't think that I'm anime enough,
we're all collectors, and he's a collector of the animes. So yeah, all of us love Keanu Reeves, but nobody remembers Replicas that they snuck out in January. I like to call it Dumpuary. Okay, that's where the movies go to die. Okay, anything that you didn't want to see, you dump it out in January, February, where nobody's going to care about it. The Kid Who Would Be King. This one I did not see. Let's see. Well, yeah, that was a January 11th release date. That was January of last year. Okay. Kid Who Would Be King. Didn't see that either. Serenity. Now poor Matthew McConaughey here is he's heading towards that Nicolas Cage part of his life where he's probably going to be doing straight to Netflix movies because his last 3 or 4 movies have bombed really bad. And you know what they call that? They call that the Oscar curse. Ever since he won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club, his career's gone. You know,
well, at least he's not Ryan Phillippe.
He's a weird guy, though. Okay, but I mean, look at these budgets on these movies. Though these are the lower budget ones. These are the 25 millions, and they only gross like 8. You know what I mean? That's bad. Okay, Rotten Tomato critic score, which I don't put any stock faith into those, because I think that website, in my personal opinion, is horribly rigged. Okay, that's just how I feel about it. Some of these I'm not even going to mention because I didn't see these.
Yeah, Captive State. I actually went and saw that.
You saw Captive State.
I was not impressed with it, and you know, the young lady that I took to the, well, I can't say young lady, but the lady that I took with me was less than stellarly impressed with that.
The Beach Bum. Okay, now Hellboy I did see. Okay, against my better judgment, I was one of those guys that was like, okay, I don't want to see Hellboy post Ron Perlman. This isn't right. Just give me Hellboy 3 and finish out the trilogy. Even with a lowered budget, I just want to see that trilogy end because I like those first 2 movies. But I decided to be objectionable and not look at it that way. I'm like, okay, well, they want to reboot it. Let's see what they can do, okay? And
I didn't take a young man, Leo.
The movie is a mess. It was a mess. It had no heart behind it. It is exactly what it is advertised. It is a watered down remake of the original. Not very well done. Really bad special effects. A very sloppy story. David Arbor in the makeup here, he's fighting with the makeup through most of the movie, whereas Ron Perlman is used to working with that kind of heavy makeup, and he can give life to that heavy makeup. Like, you could see his facial features behind this. This is just David Arbor in a very uncomfortable costume through the entirety of the movie. You could tell he was miserable making this. This is only $50 million, and it didn't even make that back. 15%. That's generous, okay? All the best parts of this movie were in the trailer. In the trailer. And those best parts are as long in the movie as they are in the trailer. I'm not kidding when I tell you that. So this is just one list, okay? These are Dark Phoenix, okay? Some people like that. That's fine, but it you know, you got to factor in the marketing scores for these movies are always way higher than the budget. But I mean, a $200 million movie, for God's sakes. $200 million to make a movie? And you basically remade X-Men Last Stand? Why? Who thought that was a good idea? And this is one of those movies that never came out. They pushed it back and pushed it back and pushed it back. And that's another point I want to bring up. A lot of these movies that are coming out in 2021 are movies that were pushed back from 2020. Now, we've been talking about this, right, Flair? We've been talking about how those monies have they've borrowed money to make these movies, and they're paying interest on a product that nobody can consume.
Yeah.
Those things are losing money.
Well, and you look at something like, Star Trek 4, in the the J.J. Abrams universe, that literally is dying on the vine because backers won't back it anymore because they pushed it back so much. So it's like you and I have discussed, it's so very nuanced with how these, both the movies, it's a quality control problem. It's a actors thinking that they are God's gift to society problem that turns into, when did it turn into, these I remember I'm not old enough to remember the real big studio days where they had actors, that were exclusive to studios. But I've watched movies that were set in those days, and those people had PR agents. And it's like, when did our world shift to these glorified prima donnas thinking that their shit don't stink?
I want to give a shout out to Charles Myers. This is who I call my watching buddy. Okay, when I bought the AMC Stubbs membership, he had one too. So we constantly keep bumping into each other in the same theater, and we'd always talk about what we saw and what sucked, which most of them suck. Okay, every once in a while we see one that's good. We both went and saw 1917 and absolutely loved it. Okay. But Charles Myers here. Last time I saw Charles Myers was the last movie I saw in a theater, which is on the same day I went to see Bloodshot and The Hunt. That was the last time I went to the theater. Charles Myers says people have had the option already to go see new movies at the theater or wait until it's on demand or stream at home or on a premium channel. The theaters had a monopoly for decades, but things have changed. Adam knows I went to movies using AMC A-List, and I would think about staying at home and streaming same-day release movies rather than go to theaters. I have a projector and a screen. That's just it. You can buy, if you're thinking about buying a 4K TV, buy them around Super Bowl. That's when they're giving the best TVs away.
Nope.
All the extra. Middle of July? Okay, so Flair's saying middle of July. My parents bought their TV like right before, like I want to say maybe 2 weeks before Super Bowl. They got like an $900 TV for like less than $600. Dolby Vision, 4K.
I agree with Charles Meyer. You can buy a short throw projector, and you can have any size. I have a perfectly good white wall right here. I could mount and buy and mount a short throw projector and put it on my wall, and it's got the best it has that same quality, if not better than your TV sometimes. So there's a lot of arguments to be made for staying at home, because I do a lot.
Yeah, that's strange enough. I didn't like 1917. The one take method used in the film didn't work. With the story it is telling, I felt like watching a video game stream without the commentary. Nevertheless, it was a fun
I,
movie.
hopefully
And
you can't unwatch it.
you
I
have to
bet
understand too that
Dunkirk did.
the reason that I saw movies in theaters, other than I like the fact that I had a routine that I could do every single week, was to have content to review for my channel because people would want to know what people are thinking about the movies. So, I wonder if this is any good. Most people don't trust the big name critics because they know that they're sponsored and all this other kind of stuff. They might be, they could be influenced one way or another. Okay, especially the people that are on the tomato meter. Okay, so they come to a smaller channel. Well, what's this guy say? He has nothing to lose, right? And I will tell you if a movie sucks or if it isn't. I don't have any love for a movie prior to going into it. I don't love franchises. I go to each movie as an individual product. Okay, if it does something to enhance the movie before it or builds upon that story, I'll let you know. But I will be the first to say that when I saw Joker, I saw it on a good cinema or not Cinemark. Help me, the big screen IMAX. I saw it on an IMAX theater. Okay, and I went home and I watched the same movie Joker on my parents' TV that they just bought, and I have to say it looks better on my parents' TV than it did in that IMAX theater that I watched it on. I think it's just because you don't quite get that 4K resolution with the projector as you would from the screen that's coming at you with the Dolby Vision enhanced. That's just my personal opinion. I think Joker looked better on the Blu-ray than it did in the theater. That's just one instance, though. Most of these movies, I would have to say, usually look better on a big giant screen. Absolutely. Is it the most comfortable seat? Hell no. Okay? Hell no. Most of these movie theater seats are older than me. Okay? Let's call it like it is. God knows when the last time they were cleaned were. I know a lot of these websites, they keep saying, okay, we've cleaned our seats with Clorox bleach. And I'm like, shouldn't you already have been doing that anyway? Did you really have to wait for a god dang pandemic to start doing that? I mean, I understand that now you're cleaning the air filters, but to me it feels like the things that they're advertising are things that should have been in place from the beginning. How dirty were these movie theaters?
Yeah. Well,
just saying, okay, because I know they're not bringing in tons of money, so
well, see, I'm on the fence about it because I've never been enamored with going to watch a movie with a bunch of random strangers. I prefer, I prefer seeing it at home because I have a pause button. I have my personal bathroom. I have my Pepsi. I have my sunflower seeds. And,
you can't always get those at the theater. Yeah.
They will not let you bring in sunflower seeds.
Some theaters actually search you as you walk in. Yeah. I went to go see Star Wars, the first one, The Force Awakens, and I went with my parents because it's always been a big deal to go see the new Star Wars movie with my parents because they took me to the very first one. It's like kind of a thing that they want to do. They want to take me to see it. It's a tradition. So we went to that, and they searched my elderly mother's purse for snacks. Being searched for snacks.
And that was hilarious. What happened down in California is they went back to Coke at the theater that I would go to. I started sneaking Pepsi in, and I was blatant about it. I mean, I'd be wearing cargo shorts, and I'd have 3 cans of Pepsi in each of the cargo pockets, and they got to know me by that time that it was like, I'm gonna cheat. Well, we can't let you cheat. Yes, you can. And I'd do it anyway. I'd walk in. I'd still buy a big tub of popcorn. and they would let me get away with it. But you know, if you don't enjoy something, it's hard to sit there and go, yeah, I'm gonna put, I when I want a Pepsi, and I won't drink Coke. I don't want a root beer.
How about this movie here? Now you know how much I loved this little piece of work right here. This was
Oh
the
yeah,
first thing. This was the first thing that Robert Downey Jr. did post Iron Man. He did Doolittle. Okay, a movie that cost 175 million to make, and the domestic gross was 76. This movie lost over $100 million. This movie is absolute garbage. It's not even fun for kids. It's not fun for adults. I don't know who it was made for. It was one of the most chaos. It's like the cinematic equivalent of a kid with ADD. It's just no sense. It is nonsense for like just slightly less than 2 hours. It has a couple of actors in it. I don't even remember what happened. All I remember was, and very seldom do I do this, get on my phone and text my buddy Pete Etepiculion from the Place to Be Reviews. This movie's dog shit. I hate myself and I want to die. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to leave this theater. I want this theater to like lose power so I don't have to watch the rest of this movie. That's how I felt after watching this. And this was just this year. This
yeah.
was this was
My,
this was
my
a this
mom
was a January release.
my
Okay.
mom actually went to see this with a friend of hers, and she was like, she is not someone who gets up and walks out of a movie. She got up previous to halfway through the movie. Her and her friend got up and walked out and got a refund
It's good that
because
they got a refund. I mean, I saw it on a movie pass, so I didn't feel like I was out anything, but it did feel like a colossal waste of my time.
they were, I mean, they were disgusted by the movie, and she came home and started telling me about it. She also went to see what was that, Call of the Wild,
Yeah,
with uh,
Harrison Ford.
and she was just like, she was outraged by it because I mean, the CG was so bad, and it was just like the consumer product that they're putting out is not
This is
quality.
just and they advertised this movie like it was going to be so wonderful, and they kind of had like a Pirates of the Caribbean type vibe to the trailer, and it's just all it is an hour and a half of fart jokes and bad comedy and pop culture references that literally no kid would ever get. Okay, it's a mess of a movie. It feels like it was tinkered together. And speaking of a movie that feels tinkered together, I feel bad for Mackenzie Davis because she did Terminator Dark Fate and then this. Okay, I don't have any animosity towards this actress. I just think she needs to fire her agent and get some better work because I know she can do stuff. I'm tired of seeing her in movies like this. This movie here, Flair, has no ending.
Oh shit.
There's no ending to this movie. It just stops.
It's like the song that never ends. It just ends.
No, it's like a road that just they forgot to finish it. It's like you're riding on it and then all of a sudden there's no more road. That's what this movie is. It's bad. It had a couple of ideas that if they would have explored it a little bit further, might have gone somewhere. But again, I sat in the theater and watched this and there were people standing up holding their hands up in the air like, "What? What happened? I don't get it." Like angry that they saw this, okay? This is what they're doing to consumers, okay? I did not see the rhythm section, so I'm not going to talk about it. But again, production budget of 50 million and it grossed 5.4. Okay, this is not how you do it. Now, I did see Call of the Wild. This movie could have been good if it wasn't for this damn
Look at that.
CG.
Production budget is 135.
And I bet you at least 134 of that went to Harrison Ford.
I do not doubt that.
Because I'm telling you, barely a million went into this CG. It's really, really embarrassingly, shockingly bad. I mean, the Uncanny Valley, wow. Okay, They should have used a real animal. There's no reason why you couldn't have used a real animal to make this movie. The dog
Well,
doesn't talk. I
what's
mean,
the what's the rule of thumb that half the production budget is what the promotion cost is?
something like that. Yeah, it's like whatever it is, you got to double it. You got to pretty much make 3 times the production budget to break even on it. So this one was before the pandemic, and this lost money. Now, granted, this wasn't too far before the pandemic because I remember that hit in March, and it was like it was all over. The next day, everything was just shut down and stayed shut down for a while. But that was just this year. That was this year prior to the pandemic. So, point I'm getting at is, these movies that we haven't seen, we don't know if they're any good or not. Because the ones that were already released were already terrible. The theaters were dead before now that people are being told that they can't go to the movie theaters, now they want to go. Now they want to support the theaters.
Well, is it that they want to support the theaters, or they've just been locked down for so long that any port in a storm?
Exactly. Some a column A, some a column B. You know what I mean? That is my opinion. Yes.
I was talking with. I enjoy going to batting cages, and
Okay.
I finally found one in the local area. And I was talking with the gentleman that runs it, and he was telling me that his patronage has gone up exponentially as the pandemic has gone along because people are just looking to get out and do something physical and to enjoy the outdoors. He's got when I was there, he's got eight lanes of eight batting cages, and every one of them was full. And he goes, and I've got a five, I've got people 5 deep waiting to when somebody leaves, and they're waiting for hours to do it. And it's like that just is people looking for, as we've discussed, people looking for normalcy or something to latch on to that gets them outside of the house that they're stuck in.
Yeah, everybody's stir crazy and they just want to be able to go out and do anything. And there's not you've basically humans are not meant to be caged like animals, okay? And now that they are, I think it's made everybody angrier, more superstitious, more apt to want to rebel, which I can't say I blame them. It's like being a teenager, right? Like when you're a teenager, you're too old to do the things that you're allowed to do because you don't want to do that. You're not interested in those things anymore, and the stuff that you want to do, you're not old enough to do. So it's kind of like you're in a constant state of captivity. And what
Yeah.
do? You rebel. It's like you have a nation of teenagers. You have people that want to rebel because they're being told that they can't go out. Now, Leo brought up a good point that I wanted to mention too. It says, never had any problem bringing in snacks, but I'll buy a big tub of popcorn and an extra large drink. Now, movie theater popcorn should be the best popcorn there is. They should take great pride in keeping that shit fresh and getting it to you. And as long as you clean the oil and clean the area, the cage or whatever you want to call it, where they pop the corn. Because I used to make regular popcorn when I showed movies to the crew on the ship when I was in the Navy. Okay, I had one of those, electric popcorn poppers where you heated up the oil and the kernels and you made that is the best popcorn. But if you don't clean those things out and you let that popcorn sit around for a while and it gets all stale, you paid like $10 for a tub of the worst popcorn you could possibly get. And there are some theaters that has exquisite popcorn. And then unfortunately, the AMC Stubbs membership that I go to, their popcorn is Sometimes it's okay. Most of the time it's not that great.
The best popcorn I ever had was at the uh, down in California. They had the dinner and a movie theater.
Yes.
They do. exquisite popcorn, and you pay for it.
Right.
It's like $16 for a
I
movie.
have one of those out by me, Flair. It's called the Cobb Theater, and they have the dinner theater, and it's the greatest thing ever, man.
Well,
It's not cheap, but you pay a flat rate. You go to the movie in a half an hour early. They bring the food out to you. Yeah,
unfortunately, the city I live in is a tourist environment. We don't have the uh, population density to support one of those theaters.
yeah. Well, the
And
one that I drive to is about maybe half an hour away from me. So, but
well,
I'll go there and I'll sit there and I'll order steak. Sometimes I'll get shrimp, and then they bring the pop. I get the popcorn too, and they bring the popcorn out in a glass bowl
yeah.
with the oil freshly poured over there, and they double butter it. They put one layer on, then put the popcorn on top, put another layer of butter on top. I love it when they do that. You go to
Well,
AMC Theater and it's just go over there and get the butter that's probably been sitting in there since last week.
and see that again. That there's where the large population density is all locked down in Washington State. You know, they just opened a Chick-fil-A in North Spokane, and the line for that uh, uh, grand opening was 18 hours long.
Jeez,
I mean, they literally,
because it was something they couldn't have. Yeah, so
yeah,
everybody wanted it. I get it now. That was something that I kind of mentioned before, back when we were having this possibility of theater closures in low ticket sales. Why don't the fast food industries and the theaters merge and put the fast food chains inside the theaters? If you're going to charge me for a whole bunch of money, give me some real food. Don't give me this microwave bullshit and charge me, make me pay $20 for this literal microwaved bullshit. Sometimes they put it in a toaster oven after they microwave it, if you're lucky. Give me something that tastes good. Here's my point. Okay, you go to something like Disney. If you go to Disney World, in my case, I don't go to Disney World. I prefer Universal Studios. If I go to Universal Studios and I go to the Monster Cafe and I get the turkey leg, yeah, I'm probably going to pay like 20 some bucks for that turkey leg, but it's going to be delicious. I'm going to eat it and it's going to have me full all day long because it's smoked right there. They made the barbecue sauce right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind paying a little bit extra money for the comfort and the luxury. Like I just told you, that Cobb Theater where you go out there and you can get surf and turf with your movie and have them constantly come back and refill your actual glass of Coke or Pepsi, whatever it is you prefer. I like that comfort. I'm willing to pay for that extra comfort, but I haven't been getting that from the theaters for quite a long time. At least not the ones where I'm allowed to have a movie pass.
well, and I think that's why those dinner theaters uh, have become so popular
They're
because
great.
they
Yeah.
do bring the quality. They do bring
And for
the
the average person that's seeing like, okay, if you're seeing like 3 or 4 movies a year and you're dating, it's perfect because you know how hard it is to try to hurry it. You can see the movie afterward, but you have to go around the times that the movies come out, which is usually right at 7 o'clock. But if you do the dinner movie, you're in the same spot right there. You have everything.
yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
I think it's a brilliant idea that
It's
it should be
fun. It
more.
is a lot of fun. I wish I could afford to do it more often, but it's really great. So, now this movie here, Flair, I saw this stinker, right?
Yes, you did.
This movie is so bad it's great. Okay, I like this movie. I recommend people go see it. Okay, it's worth a rental. It's like The Room. Okay, this is probably one of the worst, most pretentious flop musicals I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just, you laugh at it constantly, and the whole time you're looking at it, you think, wow, these guys were really up their own ass when they made this. Because they thought that this imagery right here was a good idea to base a movie on. You know what I mean? But again, this had does it show the budget on this one? No, it doesn't. Yeah, this one had a big budget because it was full of people that the studio thinks are popular, like James Gordon, okay, and Rebel Wilson, and what's her name here? I can't remember her name right now. You know what I'm talking about. This lady right here is Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Okay,
Taylor Swift. There you go.
it's getting late, y'all. It's been a long week, but yeah, that okay. Ooh, I'm not gonna do this page turning bullshit here. Well, maybe I will. Let me see if it. Do I even know what this one? Okay, so that was Gods of Egypt. Okay, yep. I have not seen that one.
Oh, I've seen it. I actually enjoyed it.
Flowers of War. Green Zone. Well, it's a Matt Damon action flick, so that kind of tells me everything I need to know. Bicentennial Man. Okay, Ben-Hur. Here's another in a long line of cynical remakes of movies that didn't need to be remade. Came, went, nobody cared. Stepford Wives. I didn't even know that they made the Stepford Wives in 2004. Did you? I didn't know that.
I had heard about it, but I had not really. If I guess I'm such a niche person that sometimes movies go by and I really don't care.
Peter Pan. I don't even like the Peter Pan story. I'm not going to read all 44 of these. I'm just not. One thing I do want to bring up, though, and my buddy Alex sent me this earlier, but you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. I'm like, just in the last year alone, the ratio of flops to hits have been staggered. And we've been talking about that for a long time. Friends of mine, you and me, Flair, friends of ours in the Fandom Menace, it's come up many times, like, why are there so many bad movies? A lot of remakes, a lot of prequels to movies that don't need prequels,
Or sequels to movies that.
or making a movie and then rebooting it again in 5 years. I'm like, oh, stop it. How many times are you going to reboot Spider-Man?
Well, there are certain people that love Spider-Man, and it's a known property. I mean,
And then we're going to reboot Batman again pretty soon here. So I'm
well,
getting to where I don't even want to keep up with it anymore.
We're getting the sparkly Batman now, so Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, that'll be on HBO Max, I'm sure. And no, actually, that one's not, because that was the other thing that they had mentioned in that article, is that the HBO Max movies that are coming out is the 2021 slate, which is really what they have left of 2020. What that tells me is that they're getting desperate, Flair, and they're having to write off the season. You know what I mean? Because you can't make your money back in 3 weeks. The quarter's over. They have to release this content somehow if they're going to make any money off of it at all.
Well, and if you've been watching what the streaming services, Amazon wants to buy things from these studios. So, what was it? I was reading an article this weekend that Amazon wanted to buy Maverick and get it put out on Amazon Prime.
Because they know these movies aren't making any money in the theaters, because here's the thing. They might be saying that, this is going to come to an end soon, or that there's a cure or a vaccine. I don't want to debate any of that stuff right now, but the thing is even if those things are on the horizon, they're not here yet.
Well, and see that's what that goes.
It's going to take a while for all that stuff to get integrated. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and that goes back to my comment about the uncertainty. Is each state has its own way of doing things, and it's the uncertainty of a lot of this. Are we going to be? What is normal anymore? And I get
agree.
so sick of this. People saying, "Oh, this is the new normal. Oh, this is the new normal." Bullshit! This is the new normal. This is you trying to find something so that you can say it's normal and then force it down my throat.
Yeah.
And I got into it with my aunt over it, that she goes, "Oh, well, wearing a mask is going to be the new normal." I said, "Why? You know, mm, I love you, but
And that's the thing, man. I've mentioned this. I don't want to wear when I'm at home watching movies. I don't have to put a mask on. If I'm in a theater, I have to put that mask on, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, I have to
so
wear." I
you
know
know,
somebody out there is watching the stream right now saying, "Well, I have to wear my mask for 8 hours."
you know,
If you have, if let me ask you this: if you didn't
there's
have to wear your mask for 8 hours, would you take it off? If you
well,
didn't have to, would
here,
you voluntarily put it on if you didn't have to?
yeah, here's my mask. This is, it's one of those that you pull over and you see. I work in a car lot, so I have to deal with people, and I don't always have to wear a mask.
So when
And
you come home from work, do you want to put this thing on and sit for another
no,
2 hours and watch a movie?
I
Okay,
don't
so
want
are we animals for saying that or thinking that or feeling that?
to.
We're humans.
Apparently, I am a conspiracy theorist that wants to kill everybody I know. Well, my mom's had COVID. I probably have had COVID. I know 5 people that have had COVID, and they all survived. It's like, hey, wait a second here. Why is this normal for us to hurt each other and beat each other with sticks?
Well, that's the other thing, and I want to highlight this here. You know
Well,
what,
shut up. I'm hungry.
Richard Greeter, I also love Chinese food and
I,
gyros. You jerk. so, but no, I've caught.
I'm gonna
Look,
take the grease I got off some of the cars today, and I'm going to rub it on you, man. You're making me want to go.
I've look, guys. I've caught a lot of hell this year for my comments and in my opinions, and I've found that that telling it like it is or saying how you feel or expressing your feelings is like considered the new hate speech. I had thumbs downs. I had down votes on this stream before we even went live. Now you tell me that that's not a direct attack. You have not even evaluated my content. You are downvoting it based on the subject alone. Which I personally
Well,
feel that YouTube should disable that feature. Like you should not be able to downvote something until it uploads. But
it is
it's
me. It is the keyboard cowboys
yeah.
that make everything political, that make everything to the point where you don't want to hang out with them, you don't want to talk to them, and we all
Well,
know.
and I would you're correct, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I kind of wanted to piggyback off of that a little bit before you got too far ahead.
I feel
That fact right there that people have made everything political. The movies that you're defending right now have already done that for you. The movies have been shoving politics into them for the last several years, and they've gotten more and more over the top with it that it's they're not even being sneaky about it anymore. And as a result of that, people are angry because they now have no place to escape to get this crap out of their system. So we were talking about this before we went live, right, Flair? Like you and I, we go to a party, right? Because we're not really bar people, okay? Go to a birthday party, and let's say you go to somebody and you get in a political argument with somebody. You didn't intend for it to happen, but you just started talking about a particular topic, and maybe you said something and they didn't agree with you, and all of a sudden it just went off the deep end. So let me ask you this: you got in an argument with somebody at a party, and it lasted for like maybe an hour. Okay, do you immediately go to somebody else at the same party and start that same argument with somebody else?
I hell, I would barely stay at the damn party.
You would leave the party. But now we live in an age, like you said, the keyboard cowboys, where you're hiding behind social media, and you will have that argument 6 times sometimes 7 in the same day, in the same space.
Yep.
And you'll get to a point to where if you recognize any words from that conversation coming from somebody else like me, who goes way out of their way not to be political, that you'll start accusing me of those same things that you argued with the last 6 people about, because you assume that I'm going to say the same things that the last 6 people did.
Well, and
that is 2020 for me in a nutshell.
And that's why I find it so fucking hilarious that you get called a conservative.
Yep, I get called a conservative. I get accused of hate speech. That's happened to me this year.
I'm the one you would think that people would be flipping out at, because I literally give 0 fucks, and I know I'm cussing and I'm sorry. But I literally give 0 fucks what other people think about me. It's like, you either like me or you don't. Your opinion, unless you're a part of my world and my life, like, okay, I respect your opinion, Adam, because I have sat down, I have spoken with you at length. We share commonalities that make me enjoy being with you, around you, speaking with you. Somebody randomly on the internet, I don't give two shakes in hell about them, and I'm more than willing to nuke their ass.
Well, and part of it too is because we're I think it's because we're old enough to know that we're not defined by just one belief on one topic. You know what I mean? Like, that's not your opinion on politics, or your opinion on, both of you and I have differing religions and differing politics, but we realize that it's not those things that define us. It's not those singular things that define our entire character. Exactly. Like you said, you and I share common backgrounds, mutual respect for similar people. I've lived my whole life by that philosophy. You actually respect that I do, which is why you're a co-host. And that's why I can honestly say that this show will never be skewed politically one way or the other, because I'm liberal, he's conservative. So that's what it is,
I would have it no other way, because I love to have my ideas challenged. I love to learn, to grow, and I think a lot of the problem we're having is stagnation, mental, physical, and
it's definitely a mind drain constantly.
It's what I love about Rush Limbaugh. Love him or hate him, he always greets people every morning with "Good morning, conversationalists. Let's have a discussion."
Mm-hmm.
And see, that to me
you can't have a challenging discussion if you surround yourself with yes men.
Exactly. And you know what? That's what I love about people like Alex.
Mm-hmm.
That he has such a different take on the world. Leo Red, he's
Leo Red, Alex, and Pete, and Nick and Tam, everybody, all the Raiders. Okay, all of the Raiders come from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different religions, different belief systems. We all have one thing in common. We value our opinions, and we value each other's opinions, and we respect each other for them.
Exactly.
None of us are afraid to tell people how we feel. It gets more and more difficult to do it because we're constantly being censored for having any kind of an opinion at all, which is frightening, because all I want to do, man, is talk about fucking movies. And instead, I'm being shoved into politics all the time because, as we've said, like Richard said right here, the last 4 years, movies and shows have been woke. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're openly admitting it. Yeah, a lot of the things that we like have become... It's like an after-school special. It's like sitting in a classroom and watching an after-school special that's designed to educate you and make you take a stance on something. And pisses me off.
Well, I've been watching... I watched some live TV, and they've had... what's his name? He's a late night... he's one of the supposed comedians on late night TV. And he wears his politics on his sleeve, and I'm like, look, I get that you want to support your political side, your tribe, but where do I go when I don't want that? Where do I go anymore? And I can't, I get celebrities thinking that, their opinion is worth something to me more than my own research and my own, you know, thinking. Do they believe that we are lemmings? That we're going
I don't
to,
know about you, but I want new entertainment, and when I find something that I believe is not political, and as Richard said, I hate using the word woke because it just turns people off when you even use that word. But he's right. It's woke. It's woke because it's a skewed partisan politic where they're saying that either you believe this or you're a problem. And I can't get down with that. So when I want to get on my channel and review episodes of The Expanse and get people excited about it, it's for a reason, because there is a universe that I can go to that has its own problems. It doesn't care about our universe. It's not a mirror of our own shitty politics. Is it a
and
mirror of society in general? Absolutely. But that's what's so fun and human about it.
and that is why I think people are so in love with previously created movies and shows. I think that's why we're buying physical again, because we are literally looking at this going, the garbage they're putting out and force feeding us, we reject.
They're
What
also buying physical because I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed it in especially over this past year, more people are online doing Zoom shows and shit like that. The internet is not where the world thinks the internet is. You know
Yeah.
that? It's not as strong as people think it is. My internet goes out frequently. When I was in Illinois, every stream that I did, I was just biting my knuckles hoping I wouldn't get disconnected. And I actually did get disconnected a couple of times.
Yep, I was there for that stream.
So I say you buy, and I was glad that I bought the physical media that I did when I did, because now I'm not captive by what Netflix or some streaming service wants to show me that weekend. If the internet's not working, I'm like,
Well,
I'll
if
just put on a Blu-ray.
you see this pile right here.
And
And I
you've seen my wall of movies a couple of times, but there's a
and
particular, before I get into this last article, I wanted to mention there's a particular episode of Star Trek Voyager. It's part of season 1. I don't remember the season name right now, but the gist of it is it's a really well written story. It's a wonderful story because it pertains to what's going on right now. They go to a pleasure planet where this particular society, their job is to make sure that people are having a good time. And the only thing that they ask for in return is these people want stories from other cultures. They want good stories. So they literally work out this kind of back alley deal to trade some kind of to trade the database of all the stories from Earth and the Federation and everything in exchange for a drive that will send them to another planet instantly, so that they can shave off several years of their journey back to Earth, if you guys follow Voyager. But the thing is this particular society here is very self-sustained, lives in a bubble. Okay, they're able to give people whatever they want, but they don't have any good stories, which is kind of where I feel like we're at right now. What are we always crying about? I don't care how much you spend on the special effects. I don't care how much you pay the hottest, hippest actor. I just want good stories. We can't freaking get it anymore. And that's why theaters have been in a state of decline. The theaters can't do anything to make the movie better. It doesn't matter if they're streaming on the same day or if they're not. They can't make these movies any better. That is entirely up to these studios. Now I want to move into this last article here so we can wrap it up for the night. Alex sent me this about an hour before I streamed. I'm going to read this, okay? This one, because this is breaking news. This is just published today, this morning. Why Godzilla versus... And this is from Cinema... Which they're okay sometimes. I don't mind their website. Why Godzilla vs. Kong and Dune's creator could take legal action against Warner Brothers and HBO Max. So fallout continues over Warner Media's historic announcement that Warner Brothers' full slate of 2021 pictures will stream on HBO Max on the same day they will open the theaters. The WB blockbusters will have 1 month streaming period before being removed from the service, with pictures staying in theaters to play to big screen audiences. But Legendary Entertainment, which bankrolled a significant portion of the production costs on both Denis Villeneuve's Dune and the massive monster face-off Godzilla vs. Kong, isn't thrilled with the agreement and could be contemplating legal action. The idea is floated in an industry conversation between Peter Bart and Mike Fleming on Deadline. The two reporters usually go back and forth on the massive topic, and Warner Brothers' decision to unleash a full year of programming to its streaming service. Who the hell puts yellow on white? I just want to know. To its streaming services, HBO Max certainly qualifies. Speaking on Legendary Entertainment's possible legal recourse against Warner Brothers, Fleming states, I'm hearing that Legendary Entertainment either has or will send legal letters to Warner Brothers as soon as today, challenging the decision to put the Denis Villeneuve-directed Dune into HBO Max deal, and maybe Godzilla vs. Kong as well. Sources said Legendary had no advance notice before last week's announcements that both Dune and Godzilla vs. Kong were part of the HBO Max plan. Well, that I can relate to, and I would probably be pissed too if I were in their position. Peter Bart and Mike Fleming believe that Legendary likely has some legal legs to stand on. The argument potentially swirls around the idea that after having to put up nearly 75% of the production budget on Dune and similar percentage of funding on Godzilla vs. Kong, Legendary could feel that the long-term viability of those two franchises as theatrical draws could be tarnished if they stay their life on the streaming services, or start their life on streaming services. In Legendary's eyes, both the Kong and King Kong franchises could and should be packing audiences into theaters for years to come, while Dune, if done properly, could bolster a 6-film franchise. Warner Brothers, hold that thought up here, I'm going to come back to that. Warner Brothers is about to test drive the validity of this new distribution system in a few weeks. Patty Jenkins' highly anticipated superhero sequel, Wonder Woman 1984, will be the first blockbuster introduced under the new model, arriving in select theaters and on HBO Max on December 25th in the United States. Obviously, Warner and DC Films believe in long-term viability of Diana Prince as a character and have no intention of tarnishing that franchise earning potential, so Legendary Entertainment likely will be paying very close attention to how the Wonder Woman sequel is received. It's a little strange for Legendary to be balking at the possibility of their big screen blockbusters having to start life on a streaming service. If you recall, Legendary reportedly was negotiating a deal with Netflix that could have pulled Godzilla vs. Kong from Warner Media for the whopping price of $250 million, but Warner Brothers wouldn't let it go, though. Likely they realized just him valuable the monster franchise is to package that lures. What's that?
They need a copy editor.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like stumbled on it. I'm like, they kind of goofed up the words there. Likely, I realized just him valuable the monster the franchise is to package that lures potential subscribers to HBO Max. For now, this feels like a legal volley because Legendary Entertainment was upset about being kept out of the loop on Warner Media's decision to move product to HBO Max. But we'll continue to track any developments on the story, so keep it here.
I have, and this is my kind of my take on it, as I don't know if I'm considered a normie or whatever, but it really does make me want to go get HBO Max because I want to see Dune. I do
too. Yeah.
I want to see a lot of the things that they're about to put out there, and so my interest is piqued. And they've got a really great value package right now.
Yep.
If you upfront, the first 6 months, you get it for like half off.
Yeah.
So it's like I get paid the end of this week. I'm honestly thinking about dumping $70 into HBO Max. I don't know how I'm going to justify it after that 6 months, but
Well, that's just it. You have it the way. Here's the way I see it. Okay, so you have it, and also I want to mention, since Alex couldn't be here because he's got to work tomorrow, he wanted to be on the show, but Alex feels
thank
like
you, Alex, for sharing this with us.
thanks for sharing this link with me. These are my good buddies. They keep me in the loop. But Alex personally feels that Dune is going to be pushed back again as a result of this legal action right here. He's not wrong to think that it is a possibility. But like you said, Flair, this is kind of a good deal. I mean, I would probably sign up for it for all the same reasons that you said. But
Well,
the thing is that you're getting an option. Okay, if I could understand the argument if this stuff was going strictly to streaming and you were going to have to be forced to pay money to HBO Max to
well,
consume Warner Brothers content, but you're not. If you want to go to the theater and watch it, you can. If you want to stream it on HBO Max, you can.
okay, so on one hand, you go to the movie theater, let's say 4 times.
Average person goes about 4 times a year. Yeah,
That equals 6 months of HBO Max.
it's a steal.
If you get your own popcorn, you get your pause button, see that's where I I go back to, I can't remember who said it, but it was you can't unwatch this.
Yeah,
That you know or unwatch it. Sorry, got to get your name right. Um, that our experience is changing,
yeah. It's
and
changing faster than people would like to
people are
grasp on.
kicking and screaming about it. But they're also, you look at what Disney did with Mulan, and people sucked that up and did it, and I couldn't believe that they did it.
I don't remember which video it was I said on. It wasn't a live stream. It was one of my either one of my movie reviews or one of my single release videos. I says I will be the last person in the last theater watching the last movie. Now, when I said that, I didn't mean that I was going to be sitting in a movie theater wearing a mask, having to pump hand sanitizer on my hands every 5 minutes, in a socially distanced theater in the middle of a pandemic. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about the last movie in the last theater before they close it down. Now, this line that I highlighted right here, it says packing audiences into movie theaters for years to come. The whole problem and the whole reason why all this got started in the first place is even the theaters that are still open in Florida here, my movie theaters are still open. I'm still an AMC Stubbs member. I'm not currently using it, but the reason I joined Stubbs was the same reason that you mentioned earlier, Flair, about if you add how many times you go to the theater, like 4 times, the money that you're paying to HBO Max is a steal. For $20 a month, I was able to see up to 4 movies a week.
That's a screaming
Even
deal.
2 movies on a matinee is more than that.
Yeah.
If you factor in snacks, you know what I mean, or the gas it takes to get there. So of course I would do that. For somebody like me that wanted to review new movies when they came out, it was the absolute best deal I could possibly go for. And I'm not going to cancel my membership because I do believe that at some point this will go back normal. Maybe not right away, but I'm still going to hang on to my membership because I'm okay. Look at me right now. I'm supporting movie theaters even though I'm not going to them. I'm paying for my Stubbs membership.
Well, and when Empire Strikes Back hit its 40th, I've said this a couple of times. I went and supported my local movie theater.
There you go.
That I went and watched Empire Strikes Back on the big screen because you know what? I own Star Wars on Blu-ray, I own it on DVD, but there is an experience watching it on the big screen that I personally will drop the coin for to go enjoy.
Now, see, my buddy Brian in Illinois, they shut the theaters back down again. But I do want to mention that why I still have this highlighted, packing audiences into movie theaters for years to come. You can't pack in a theater right now because even my theater only allows so many people in the auditorium per showing.
Yeah,
And there's there's a limited amount of showings per day, and there's a limited amount of people that can go into theaters.
Before Regal shut itself back down, and that's who we have in town, is it was 25% capacity, and I was asking the the manager, because I know her personally. She goes to the same church that I do, and I was asking her about it, and she goes, "We're not making any money. We're losing money in this endeavor, and they're going to close us back down just to save money."
Yeah, they can't
And
afford to keep them open. You're not making the money back on the overhead. And okay, so let's say you allow 25 people in the theater per showing. Here's one problem. I want to see Dune, okay? And I want to see it on the first fucking showing that is available. Those tickets are going to be gone in nanoseconds. Because even with my Stubbs membership, I can't just walk into any theater at any time. I have to select my seat. Okay, I have to pick out my seat, and it gives me a printed up barcode that they scan when I walk into. How fast do you think that's going to be gone? Okay, there's one problem. Second problem.
Or if they triple, I had the problem where they triple sold the seats.
So yeah, somebody's going to sit in your lap? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Second problem, the theaters make money on the overhead from the stale snacks that they sell you. So what? I have to eat like this. I have to put this thing on, okay, and I'm going to eat my popcorn like what, like that, and then put that thing back on again.
And did you? Hey, in California, that's what they were saying. That you had to literally go when they were still open. You would go out.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I mean, I'm sorry.
When I said I was going to support my theater, it just wasn't part of the deal. All right, it just wasn't. So yeah, that's years to come. I mean, okay, so.
Well, I also the other one that the other line that got me was the Dune. They're saying 6 movies for Dune. I'm like, wait, 6 movies? Holy cripes!
Now, see, there's the thing too. My theaters closed are just showing older movies, but they're going to lock down again too. So there's the problem. You can't. This is not over yet. It's not over yet. Okay, in your opening them back up didn't help anything. It really didn't. It was like a temporary solution to a bad problem. So what I've been saying for months and months and months now is, what do you do with all this content that's already been made? Do you just sit on it forever? Just sit on it and let it collect dust and not let anybody consume this information or consume this entertainment? Or do you do like Mulan and then go on to Disney Plus, which you're already paying a premium for, and then expect people to pay $30 for a turd of a movie like that?
But are you actually paying a premium? I mean, okay, I have Hulu with no ads, and I got the Disney Plus package with that. So literally, I pay $18.99 for Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus, which ESPN I don't even watch, and Disney is $6.99. So I'm sitting here going, how is it that Disney is, premium when Netflix is sitting at what, $14-16?
Oh, that's the other thing. Netflix upped it during the pandemic. They raised the prices when they started losing people over cuties. And we mentioned that on one of these shows.
Oh yeah, and Hulu. I mean, yes, they're another Disney property, but they can't be running that at a loss because,
I have Hulu. I'm not crazy about Disney either, but I'd rather Hulu has probably just as much content as Netflix, except Hulu doesn't have cuties and Netflix does. It's really that simple for me.
Well, and Netflix, I think Hulu has more production. I mean, produced in a big studio. Netflix is going the they make their own shit route.
Yeah. And it's
And
not necessarily good shit. It's just shit. You just make
yeah,
their own shit, and then
shit
they're
on.
also infamous for canceling something as practically as soon as they start it too. So
Yeah.
that's also been the problem.
Well,
But
and Amazon is infamous for picking it up and going, "Screw you, Netflix. We're making money off of what you produced and what we produced."
I think I'm going to bring this to a close. All I want to say, folks, is real good chat tonight. I appreciated all these comments and everything. I see the argument from both sides. Okay, I know this is very scary stuff. I've been struggling with this all year. The stuff that you're struggling with right now. Imagine what it was like for me when I had a nice rhythm going, where I was seeing about 2 to 4 movies a week, reviewing every single one of them, having a live review on my channel every weekend, and then releasing them all as a single release upload. I had a little system going down. I missed that. That was gone for me overnight, and it's never come back. It's never returned. I absolutely miss going to the movie theaters, but I don't want to go and sit in a movie theater under these archaic restrictions if I don't have to. If I'm not reviewing movies for you to, if I'm not going to the theater to review movies, it's going to feel like a chore for me to sit there and follow the restrictions that are being told. And somebody mentioned this once too. If those things are too difficult for you to do, then maybe you don't need to do them. Maybe I don't need to go to the movie theater right now. You know, do I want to see Dune? Absolutely. But how many people are going to watch my review when I put it up? You know, I mostly want to see Dune for me. It's something that I've been excited about, and it's something that I want to see. If I have the option of seeing it on my TV, which I know it's going to look good on, I know it's going to be in 4K, and I know I'm going to have Dolby Atmos headphones set at the volume that I like, with nobody sitting in front of me distracting me, no noise, and a comfortable seat the whole time, I'm going to go that route.
Well,
So,
and you know me, I'm kind of sitting here going, I want to support the theaters, but I also I mean, I truly prefer sitting here watching my movie on my own equipment.
you have it set the way that you like it. And you know, it's another thing that Flair and I kind of get along, because we don't really have a problem with the age of social distancing, because people kind of suck right now anyway. So you kind of want to stay away from them anyhow. I don't really want to be in a crowd of people right now, because everybody's too damn uptight, irritable, because they've been locked down for an entire year when they're not meant to be locked down. And it's a very frustrating thing. It's like, I get why it's being done, but at the same time, I get why people are restless. I get why people are at each other's throats. And it's just been a really rough year, and I would rather limit my amount of going out if possible, you
And
know?
I'm going to say this too, that it's been longer than a year. I think it's been we started this, and I hesitate to say it, but our culture has propagated the anger, the frustration of people, and they've tried to harness that against each other. And I see this going back on both sides of the aisle as a political thing, all the way back, to Obama, Clinton. I mean, we
And
live,
that's, yeah, when politics are being shoved into everything, everything is politics. That's,
and that's a sad commentary
yeah.
on our culture and our society, that I don't want. I I I I love you. I don't have to love your politics. I don't have to have the same agreement on politics, because we can sit here and have a damn good conversation
Right.
about
I don't pick and choose my
all of it.
friends based on their belief systems, or, but there's so many people right now, Flair, that just cannot move past that. And
Oh yeah, and
and
they
I'm
over the head.
talking people that are our age and older
Oh
that
yeah.
ought to know better are not doing that. And it's kind of scary. It's kind of frustrating. I guess what I want to say
Absolutely.
is it's okay to have options. Okay, it's okay if you want to go to the movie theater. I'm not gonna fault you or make fun of you or judge you, but I also expect you not to judge me if I choose to watch Dune on HBO Max as opposed to going to the theater. Now, will they push it back again? Is there going to be a big legal battle? I fucking hope not. It's been pushed back enough. I miss making videos about it. Now it's just like there's nothing else to talk about because it's so indefinite right now as to when it's going to be released that it's not even there's no point of even talking about it anymore. Like all I can do is
Well,
just sit and hope that it's going to get released on a platform soon.
and Pete made a really great argument. He's argued this for a while. The further it gets pushed back, the less interest people have
Oh,
in it.
100% on that. Yeah,
And
I at the beginning of the year I was super excited about seeing a Black Widow, and now I just don't care anymore. I'm like, I'll watch it whenever. I don't care because it's
yeah,
been pushed back. Same with the James Bond movie. The more I hear about it, the more I don't want to watch it. So I'm just like,
I'll be honest.
you blew it.
I think that with Wonder Woman,
Yeah,
that
it's
it
getting
was
there.
supposed
Yeah,
to be this awesome flick, and they keep pushing it and they keep pushing it. I mean, okay, I'm a history nut. No, I love military aircraft. I wanted to go see Maverick really bad,
yeah.
even though I have my issues with it. But it was going to be an escapist movie. I could yell at the screen and
You've already consumed some of the marketing, and now you're being told that you might not see it till who knows. These are scary times. I can understand why people get as
absolutely.
irate as they do, but you know what? Be careful who you direct the anger to. Don't just downvote me because of a topic that I posted. Watch the content. See what I have to say. A lot of what us YouTubers do is we put a headline on a thumbnail to get you to watch the video. It's called clickbait. We're all guilty of it, all right? We want you to come see us idiots talk. And then when you hear what's coming out of our mouth, if you still don't like what we have to say and you downvote it, well, I can't fault you for that, okay? That is
Absolutely.
your right to vote on my content.
If you
So,
don't like my opinion, and I'm also of the mind that, hey, you know what? I will listen to what you have to say because I'm just that way. Make a comment, drop it in, drop it on this show, and you'll tell me that somebody made a comment. I'll go look at it because I go back and I watch all of these again because I am a little bit anal retentive about wanting to be good at this and hopefully not just you know spewing my opinions willy-nilly, but it comes down to that we sit here and we do our opinions are our opinions. Have a conversation with us.
this it's what makes us
We might be shocked at where we sit.
it is that which makes us unique. If we were to just sit here and agree with each other, it would be a pretty damn boring stream. You got to admit that. So,
I'd
one thing I
also
can promise you, though, is if you come to our show on Friday night, we'll watch a bad movie. You'll watch it with us for free on YouTube. Zero politics, all right? Everybody that's in this chat that has come out to Friday night knows that we don't do politics on that show. Also, I
one
can promise you that sometime tomorrow, I don't know exactly what time yet, I have to look and see, debuting for the first time, Nick and I did a review of Expanse Season 1. I spent the entire afternoon editing it. I'm pretty proud of it. I think you're going to be happy with that. Expanse Season 5 is coming December 15th. We'll be covering those live as they launch. Also, next week, we'll be doing a Christmas movie. I don't know what yet, but we'll be doing a Christmas party because I'm sure as hell not going to be doing the Friday night show on Christmas Day, okay? That's not going to happen. I'm not making any of these Raiders work on Christmas. So
well,
make sure you don't miss this week or next week, is what I'm saying.
one thing I would like to drop. It's a piece of politics. Today is December 7th. It's Pearl Harbor Day, and I have a friend that I am blessed to know. His name's David Callahan. He is a Pearl Harbor survivor, World War II vet, and I want to give a shout out to him and may your years be, he's still trucking. He's in his 80s, and man, I have nothing but utter respect for him. He was bombed at Pearl Harbor, fought on Guadalcanal, hand-to-hand combat. Was in Buds, which is the predecessor to the Navy SEALs. He was the third class to ever be a frogman, and he was slated to swim in before the first wave into Japan at the end of the war. And he is an amazing. He worked at Operation Crossroads, which is the when they were doing the nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll. He was doing diving for that. And the fact that he's still alive and has his history there and is willing to talk about it is flabbergasting. And thank you for the opportunity to shout him out, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. You didn't think a couple of veterans were going to let Pearl Harbor Day slip by, did you? Come on now. Come on now. You know it's better than that, right?
Exactly.
Unlike Flair, though, I don't know anybody from Pearl Harbor that's still alive, so that's a pretty wonderful, cool thing that you shared there. So
he's an awesome man, and I am humbled and honored to call him my friend.
Yeah, so I'll just say goodbye to Charles Myers because he's an older guy. I hope I see you at the movies again someday in the future, buddy. I'm not canceling my Stubbs membership, just not using it right now. When things get a little less crazy, you'll see me wander around the lobby and we can complain about all the crap we just watched again. So hopefully that'll happen soon, buddy. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Like I said, look forward for the Expanse review coming up tomorrow. And then also make sure you come over to Loitering in Wonderland tomorrow. Big deal, okay? This is our last episode of Twilight Zone, the original series, ever. Next series we do will either be one of the newer ones. It's going to be our top 10 favorite and our top 10 worst. It's going to be an extra long stream, okay? I still have to finish my list of my top 10 worst because,
and I would
not, there's a lot of Twilight Zones that are not very good.
Yeah, there was. But I'd also like to thank the chat. They really helped us out.
Absolutely. We look forward to that
every week.
Contributed
to our conversation. I really appreciate all you guys. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. So I'll see you tomorrow night on Loitering Wonderland. Of course, we also do the anthology review on Wednesday as well. And then for this channel, I'll see all you guys on Friday. Peace out. Have a wonderful day.
Night, everyone.
Be safe. Don't hurt anybody. Be nice to each other. All right. I think I've given enough of you guys to go on into the world and hopefully not be so mean. All right. So you guys have a good one. Peace out. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat entertaining. Please remember to depress that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you'll be the first to know when new content is published. Please visit raidersofthelostflicks.com for more hilarious entertainment and links to all of our social media platforms. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon. As little as $1 a month supports our worldwide digs for more Lost Flicks. Thank you, and have a groovy day.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.